bleach anymore. It can cause extreme discoloration to the skin. It just removes that pigment. It blanches it. And it's very difficult to control using it, especially if you're darker skinned. And there are a couple of things about bleach that most people may not know. Bleach contains very high levels of mercury, right? Which is, as you know, a highly toxic substance.
Right.
It attacks the central nervous system, and it can cause permanent, lifelong damage, even death. One of the most dangerous effects of mercury is kidney damage. So, in addition to threatening your life, it can also cause scarring. It can reduce the skin's ability to fight off infections. And it's been implicated, oddly enough, as a cause of anxiety and depression in people. If you take it one step further, using bleach to whiten the skin also has consequences for our environment. The mercury in skin lightening soaps and creams eventually finds its way into wastewater. I'm sure you've heard on the news about they're finding high concentrations of all kinds of medications in the water.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Well, the mercury is no different. So when the mercury enters our environment, it gets into our food chain in the form of methylmercury, which is a highly toxic substance and is found in fish. So pregnant women who eat fish that contain methylmercury actually transfer the mercury to their fetuses. And this can, of course, result in all kinds of developmental defects in their children. Lightening products have actually caused a silent but potentially deadly epidemic in public health that goes way beyond the problems that individuals experience in using them to reduce age spots. So it's a long answer to a short question.
That's okay. We love to get more information. Now, can you tell us a little bit more about age spots? And why do age spots seem to appear more often as we mature?
Sure. And to understand why this occurs, you have to understand a little bit about the mechanism of how dark spots are formed. Okay, so we already know there is melanin, which is a pigment that is found in everybody. A dearth of melanin winds up, in albino people, right? That's what causes being albino. But in most people, there is ample melanin, and its purpose is to protect our bodies from the sunlight. And it does this by absorbing the UV rays that we're exposed to. So the darker your skin is, actually the better protected you are from the UV rays, although please remember that even very dark colored skin can still burn with excessive exposure. So as we age, our body's ability to absorb the harmful rays actually diminishes, and that's because the sun damages the melanocytes, which are these particular cells that produce the melanin pigment. And it's this gradual process of the melanocytes deteriorating that occurs over time, right? And it results in the eventual formation of things like age spots and sunspots. So the more time that you spend in the sun, the more the sun damages your skin, and the more likely you are to develop age and dark spots. Now, if you have a genetic predisposition to sunspots, and you know this by looking at some of your older relatives, this can also increase the likelihood that you'll get them. And it's pretty close to impossible for us to avoid the sun entirely. And remember, you really wouldn't want to, because exposure to the sun helps your body produce vitamin D, which is critical for us, right?
Right.
But you can't avoid it entirely. And just about everybody at some point, as we get older, will develop some age spots. I should also mention that age spots are not dangerous, but if you notice any change in them, like a change in size or shape or color, or if they start to bleed, you should definitely see a doctor to assess them and make sure that they're not cancerous.
On your website, you have some very impressive before and after pictures of a person that used one of your products to lighten some discoloration on their skin. I think you had a very interesting ingredient in that product called pomegranate oil. Can you tell us about pomegranate oil and how you discovered it?
Yeah, well, pomegranate oil is an amazing oil that comes from pomegranates. And that's just one of the ingredients that's in our natural age spot eraser, but I've used it in all but one of our products because it is so incredibly helpful, especially for mature skin. And I first discovered it, actually, it was given to me as a gift by some friends of mine who were doing breast cancer research in Israel using pomegranate seed oil. And they sent me a couple of bottles and they said, hey, you do research, you ought to look into this. This is amazing stuff. And that was how I found out about it.
Isn't pomegranate considered a powerful antioxidant? And wouldn't that have some lightening effects on the skin?
It is, but it'd be incorrect to say that that's what was doing it all by itself. Okay. There are lots of other ingredients. In this particular product, we use some essential oils like frankincense and the chamomiles, the German and the Roman chamomile. Some of you may be familiar with ylang ylang and sandalwood. And these are natural ingredients that work very, very well to gradually lighten age spots and discolorations. But I should also remind everybody who's listening that essential oils should never be used directly on the skin unless they have been diluted properly. So if you're part of an MLM or a group that distributes essential oils, please be sure to contact a clinical aromatherapist before you attempt to use them. And this is the best way for you to be safe and get good results.
Now, Sharon, I know you have a list of toxic ingredients to stay away from that might be helpful for our listeners, and you were willing to share that with us. How can our listeners receive that information from you?
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that. Yeah, we have 2 downloads. One of them is a list of toxic ingredients that are commonly found in most of the commercially produced products that we buy. We've compiled that and put it into a PDF form so that you can print it out and take it with you to the store when you go shopping. And just take a look at some of those ingredients and compare them. I mean, it's time to start reading labels, ladies.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Compare them to what you're taking a look at. And then the second PDF is actually a chart that is produced by the Breast Cancer Fund out of San Francisco. And I should give them a plug here because they are, to my knowledge, the only national company that they're a nonprofit organization that looks into the environmental causes of breast cancer. So they have produced a chart that shows a list of various chemicals that have definitively been connected to the development of breast cancer. So all you have to do to get these from us, there's no charge, we're doing this as a public service, is send us an email to customer service at laisha.com, and that's LA-ISHA.com, and just write in the title of your email that you're interested in the downloads that you heard about on Deanna's program, and we'll be very happy to send them to you.
Also, I will have all that information in the show notes. So if you missed that, you can always go to the show notes, and I will have a link in the show notes to Sharon's downloads. Sharon, I don't want to take up any more of your time. You've given us so much to think about and so much information, and I really, really appreciate you being on today with us.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on.
Now, why don't you let the listeners know where your website is so they can take a look at some of your fantastic natural products?
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. You know, we are the very first all-natural company to specialize in formulations for women over 40, and I'm very, very proud of it. And the website is www.la-isha.com. Again, that's LA-ISHA.com. And we look forward to seeing you there.
We'll have that in our show notes also. And I encourage everybody to take a look. I've looked at your website. You've got some interesting blog posts, so much information on your site. Did you write all those blog posts?
Most of them I did, yes.
Yes. Oh, it's fantastic. I was just on your website for like 30 minutes, just reading so much. I was overwhelmed with all the information. Again, Sharon, I want to thank you for being on the show. It was a pleasure, and let's keep in touch.
I'd love to, Deanna. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. I hope you enjoyed this week's show, and I want to give a special thanks to Sharon Gannett for being such an awesome guest and giving us so much information. You'll want to check Sharon's website out. She's got a wealth of information on her site, and while you're there, don't forget to check out her amazing skincare line. You can find Sharon's website in a link to Sharon's website in the show notes. You'll also be able to find the link to her website on our website, which is www.askthebeautyadvisor.com. Again, thank you for listening. And as always, remember, stay healthy and be beautiful.